Something is changing, and you can feel it. People are distracted, sleepwalking through life, ignoring the signs, and pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. But the truth is simple. We are living in serious times, and every believer needs to wake up. This is not the hour to be careless. This is not the time to drift away from prayer, compromise your faith, or live unprepared. Your family needs spiritual covering. Your house needs peace. Your heart needs conviction. And your life needs to be ready for whatever comes next. Many people talk about faith, but few are ready to stand when pressure comes. Many say they believe, but their lives show no urgency. That must change now. Faith is not just for Sunday. Faith is for the storm, for the shaking, for the unknown, and for the day when everything familiar is removed. So listen carefully. Tighten your walk with God. Return to prayer. Return to Scripture. Return to holiness. Speak truth in your home. Protect your children. Strengthen your family. Do not wait for a crisis to become serious about your soul. Because when God calls His people to be ready, He is never asking for panic. He is calling for preparation. And preparation begins today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. If this message has awakened something in you, take it seriously. Get your life in order. Get your family in order. Get your faith in order. The world may not see what is coming, but the wise will prepare before the storm arrives. Stay alert. Stay faithful. Stay ready. There is a certain kind of danger that does not announce itself loudly. It does not arrive with sirens or warnings written across the sky. It creeps in quietly, through comfort, through routine, through the slow erosion of urgency in the human heart. That is the danger many believers face today. Not persecution, not open hostility, but drift, a slow drifting away from the fire that once burned in their spirit, replaced by convenience, distraction, and the assumption that tomorrow will always come. Spiritual urgency is not about fear, it is about clarity. It is the recognition that time is not unlimited, that seasons shift, that circumstances change, and that faith cannot be treated like a hobby picked up only when it feels convenient. For too long, many have compartmentalized their relationship with God into a single hour on a single day of the week, as though that hour could sustain a soul for the other 6 days of pressure, temptation, and noise. That kind of faith cannot hold under real weight. It cracks the moment life demands more than a surface-level commitment. This is why urgency matters now more than ever. Not urgency born from panic, but urgency born from wisdom. The wise do not wait until the storm is overhead to check whether their roof can hold. They inspect it beforehand. They repair the cracks while the sky is still calm. Spiritual urgency works the same way. It says, do not wait until crisis forces you to seek God desperately. Seek Him now while you have the clarity to think, the strength to act, and the time to prepare properly. Urgency also means honesty. It means being willing to look at your own life without excuses. Are you truly walking in faith, or are you simply carrying the label of it? Are you present in your prayer life, or reciting words without real connection? Are you living with conviction or coasting on inherited belief that has never been tested by your own decisions? These are uncomfortable questions, but urgency demands honesty before it demands action. You cannot fix what you refuse to examine. There is also a communal dimension to this urgency. It is not only personal readiness that matters, but the readiness you model for those around you. Every hesitant step you take toward deeper faith becomes a quiet example for your children, your spouse, your friends, and your community. Urgency spreads. When one person decides to take their spiritual life seriously, it often awakens something in the people closest to them. That is why personal urgency is never truly personal. It ripples outward. What makes this moment different is not some external countdown or dramatic prediction. It is the simple truth that none of us are promised endless time to get things right. Delay has always been the greatest enemy of transformation. People do not usually reject faith outright. They simply postpone it again and again until years pass and nothing has changed. Urgency interrupts that cycle. It forces a decision today instead of a plan for someday. So when this message speaks of urgency, it is not asking for anxiety or dramatic reactions. It is asking for seriousness. It is asking you to stop treating your spiritual life as background noise and start treating it as the foundation it was always meant to be. Because foundations are not built in a single dramatic moment. They are built through consistent, deliberate daily choices made now, not later. There is no calling higher and no responsibility heavier than the one placed upon a family. Before anything else, before careers, before public influence, before any title the world might give you, you are first a guardian of the people God placed under your roof. That responsibility does not pause when life gets busy. It does not take a break when work demands more hours or when distractions multiply. It remains constant, waiting for you to either rise to it or neglect it. Family readiness begins with a decision that the home will not be left to chance. Too many households run on autopilot, drifting through days without any real spiritual direction, hoping that things will simply work out because everyone means well. But good intentions have never been enough to protect a family from confusion, division, or spiritual erosion. Readiness requires intention. It requires someone in the home saying clearly, we will not let this house run without purpose. We will build something here that can withstand pressure. This kind of readiness starts small. It starts with prayer that includes your spouse and your children, not prayer that happens quietly and separately while everyone assumes someone else is covering it. It starts with conversations about faith that are honest and unscripted, not just religious routines performed out of habit. Children can sense the difference between empty ritual and real conviction. They may not always express it, but they absorb what they witness far more than what they are told. A home that prays together, that speaks openly about truth, and that faces hardship with faith rather than panic, becomes a place where courage is inherited, not just taught. Protecting your family also means paying attention to what quietly shapes them. The conversations they hear, the content they consume, the values modeled in front of them, all of it forms the architecture of their inner life. Readiness is not simply reacting to crisis when it appears. It is shaping an environment long before crisis arrives, so that when pressure does come, the family already has a foundation to stand on instead of scrambling to build one in the middle of chaos. There is also emotional readiness to consider. Families face uncertainty, loss, disappointment, and fear just like individuals do. A prepared family is not one that pretends hardship will never come, but one that has already built the emotional and spiritual vocabulary to face hardship together. That means normalizing honest conversations about fear, grief, and doubt, rather than treating those emotions as failures of faith. Strength is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of support and truth in the middle of struggle. Leadership in the home matters deeply here. Someone has to take responsibility for setting the tone, for initiating prayer when no one else will, for gently correcting drift before it becomes distance, and for creating rhythms of faith that the family can rely on. This is not about control, it is about stewardship. A family without spiritual leadership tends to drift toward whatever is easiest, and easiest rarely means strongest. Ultimately, family readiness is about legacy. What you build today in your home will outlast you. The habits, the conversations, the example of steady faith under pressure, these become the inheritance your children carry into their own lives and eventually into their own homes. A family that is truly ready is not one waiting anxiously for disaster, but one that has quietly, faithfully, and deliberately prepared its foundation long before any storm arrives, so that when the winds do come, the house still stands. There is a difference between motion and progress, and nowhere is that difference more visible than in the way people approach their spiritual lives. Many mistake activity for growth. They attend gatherings, they nod along to messages, they occasionally feel moved in a moment of emotion, and they assume that this constitutes preparation. But preparation is not a feeling, it is a discipline. And discipline only exists where there is consistency, not occasional bursts of intensity followed by long stretches of neglect. Daily preparation means building a rhythm that does not depend on your mood, your circumstances, or how inspired you feel on a given morning. It means treating prayer the way you would treat anything essential to survival, not optional, not negotiable, not reserved for emergencies. A person who only prays when trouble strikes is not practicing faith. They are practicing crisis management. True readiness is cultivated in the quiet, unremarkable days when nothing dramatic is happening, because those are the days that build the internal strength needed for the days when everything is happening at once. Scripture works the same way. It cannot be treated as an emergency manual opened only when disaster looms. Its value comes from familiarity, from repetition, from allowing its truths to settle so deeply into your thinking that they surface automatically under pressure. You do not build that kind of internal reference library in a single desperate reading during a crisis. You build it through slow, steady, daily engagement long before you ever need it. This is why panic-driven spirituality so often fails. It searches for wisdom exactly when there is no time left to absorb it. Holiness, too, is not a single decision made once and never revisited. It is a daily posture, a continual choice to align actions, words, and thoughts with conviction rather than convenience. It is far easier to talk about integrity than to practice it in the small, unnoticed moments of everyday life. How you treat people when no one is watching, how you handle frustration, how you speak about others, how you use your time. These small choices, repeated daily, either build a stable character or slowly erode one. There is no shortcut. There is no single dramatic gesture that substitutes for the quiet accumulation of daily faithfulness. This is precisely why panic-driven reactions so often collapse under real pressure. Panic looks for immediate solutions to problems that took years to develop. It searches for a quick fix, a sudden surge of intensity, hoping that one emotional moment can compensate for a lifetime of neglect. But spiritual strength does not work that way. It behaves more like physical strength, built through repetition, strained gradually, and only capable of bearing real weight because of consistent training beforehand. Someone who has never trained cannot suddenly perform under extreme pressure simply because the moment demands it. Choosing daily preparation over panic also protects you from being manipulated by fear. When people are not grounded in consistent practice, they become easily shaken by dramatic claims, urgent warnings, or emotional pressure from outside voices. But someone who is already walking steadily, already anchored in prayer, scripture, and integrity, does not need external panic to push them into action. They are already prepared. They already know where they stand. In the end, readiness is not measured by how intensely you react in a single moment, but by how faithfully you show up every single day before that moment ever arrives. There is a kind of faith that exists only in comfort, and it is often mistaken for real conviction because it has never been tested. It speaks confidently when life is calm, it quotes truth easily when nothing is at stake, and it feels strong simply because nothing has yet challenged it. But faith that has never faced pressure is faith that has never truly been proven. It is a theory, not yet a tested reality. And the moment real difficulty arrives, that untested faith often reveals just how shallow its roots actually were. Trials have a way of stripping away pretense. They remove the performance, the polished language, and the comfortable routines, leaving only what is actually true about a person's inner conviction. Under pressure, you cannot fake peace you do not have. You cannot borrow strength you never built. What surfaces in hardship is not something created in that moment, but something revealed, the accumulated result of everything practiced, ignored, or neglected long before the trial began. This is why difficult seasons are not simply obstacles to survive, but revelations of what has actually been built inside. There is something clarifying about uncertainty. When everything is stable, faith can hide behind routine. But when stability disappears, when outcomes are unclear, when fear presses in from every direction, a person is forced to answer an honest question. Do I actually trust what I claim to believe, or have I only been repeating words I never fully tested? Many discover in these moments that their faith was more inherited than owned, more cultural than personal. That discovery is painful, but it is also an opportunity, because faith that survives that kind of honest reckoning becomes something entirely different, no longer borrowed, but truly yours. Pressure also teaches patience in a way comfort never can. Comfort allows immediate gratification, quick answers, and easy resolutions, but real trials often unfold slowly, without immediate relief, forcing a person to trust even when nothing is visibly changing. This is where faith matures beyond emotion into endurance. It is easy to trust when you can see the outcome. It is a different kind of trust altogether to remain faithful when the outcome is hidden, when the waiting stretches longer than expected, and when there is no clear timeline for resolution. There is also a communal aspect of faith tested under pressure. Trials often expose not only personal weaknesses, but also reveal who truly stands beside you. Difficult seasons filter relationships, showing which connections were built on convenience and which were built on genuine commitment. Just as personal faith is refined through hardship, so too are the relationships surrounding that faith, often becoming stronger and more honest as a result. Perhaps most importantly, trials rebuild confidence, not in circumstances, but in character. After walking through hardship and emerging still standing, still believing, still moving forward, a person gains a different kind of assurance, not the fragile confidence of someone who has never been tested, but the settled confidence of someone who has already proven through real experience that their foundation holds. That kind of confidence cannot be manufactured through comfort. It can only be earned through endurance. This is why real faith is never fully understood in the calm seasons of life. It is only in pressure, uncertainty, and difficulty that belief is refined from something spoken into something lived, no longer a claim but a demonstrated reality. There comes a moment in every serious life where reflection must give way to decision. You have heard the call to urgency. You have felt the weight of responsibility toward your family. You have recognized that readiness is built daily and not summoned in a single desperate hour. And you have come to understand that faith proven only in comfort is faith that has never truly been tested. Now the question is simple, and it is the only question that matters. What will you do with what you now know? Knowledge without action changes nothing. Conviction without follow-through fades as quickly as it arrived. The world is full of people who once felt moved, who once nodded in agreement, who once promised themselves they would change starting tomorrow, and yet tomorrow became next week, and next week became years, and the fire that once stirred within them quietly went out. Do not let that be your story. This is not a call to perfection, it is a call to beginning. You do not need to have every part of your life resolved before you take the first step. You do not need flawless discipline before you kneel in prayer tonight. You do not need a perfect household before you gather your family and speak honestly about what truly matters. Readiness is not a finished state reserved for the spiritually elite. It is a direction, a posture, a decision renewed each morning to take faith seriously rather than casually. Every great transformation in a person's life began not with certainty, but with a willingness to start despite uncertainty. So let this be the moment you stop waiting for ideal conditions. Let this be the moment you choose urgency over comfort, purpose over drift, and consistency over convenience. Speak to your family tonight, even if the words feel imperfect. Open scripture tomorrow morning, even if your mind is distracted. Kneel in prayer this evening, even if you do not know exactly what to say. These small, unremarkable actions, repeated faithfully, are what quietly build the foundation strong enough to withstand whatever pressure life eventually brings. You are not preparing for a single dramatic event. You are preparing for the sum of every ordinary day, because that is where character is truly formed. Remember that the strength you need in difficulty is never conjured out of nothing in the moment it is required. It is cultivated long before, in the quiet discipline of days that felt unremarkable at the time. The families that stand firm under pressure are the ones who were already building long before the pressure arrived. The individuals who remain steady in crisis are the ones who were already walking faithfully in the calm. Nothing about lasting strength is sudden. It is earned slowly through choices made consistently when no one was watching and nothing seemed urgent at all. So take this seriously, not with panic, but with resolve. Let today mark a shift, not because of fear, but because you finally understand that time is not something to be wasted on hesitation. Build your foundation now. Strengthen your family now. Walk in daily faithfulness now. Let your convictions be tested and proven, not just spoken. And when pressure eventually comes, as it does to every life in some form, you will not be scrambling to find strength you never built. You will simply stand quietly and firmly on everything you were already living out long before the storm ever arrived.